Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Village Council meeting for the Village of Yellow Springs for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. Judy, if you could call the roll, please.
Indeed. Stokes.
I am here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Hausch.
Here.
Gustafson. Here. Also present is Village Solicitor Amy Blankenship.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of consideration of the compensation of a public employee.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Did you get those, Judy?
I did.
Okay.
Hausch.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty. So we are in executive session, and we will just...
We're standing here.
Yep, yep. Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 edition of Village Council for the Village of Yellow Springs. The chair will entertain a motion for us to come out of executive session and enter the regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Judy?
Stokes?
Yes.
DeVore Leonard?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Tausch?
Yes.
Gustafson? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. All righty. So we don't have any swearings in, so we'll go straight to announcements. And Brian, I'm looking at you
Well,
first.
Kevin, I wondered if you wanted to highlight the great, what we did with the schools last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
So on Thursday?
Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I should know that. On Friday,
Groundbreakings,
the schools did a great job of their groundbreaking for both the Mills Lawn Elementary School and then for the middle school and high school. Each presentation included speeches, if you will, from some of the students there. Mayor Pam did a proclamation at each location. We had songs and drum lines, songs by the elementary students and drum line, which was very good, by the way, by the middle school and high school. So technically, that says that the schools have broken ground on their renovations. The Mills Lawn being mainly renovations, some construction, and the high school, middle school being demolition, construction, and some modifications as well. So we're off, as it were. The race has begun. It was a little chilly, but the sun was there, and it was warm on our faces and backs. So at least it allowed us to pretend that we were in a tropical environment. But it was very nice, very well attended. There were the officials from the various construction companies were there. Several folks, several elected officials there. Brian was there, and I was there from representing Village Council. So it was a good time had by all, and I just really look forward to them really making progress. So we're excited to move forward.
Yeah.
And while I have the mic, I'll go ahead and also say that, the can of worms. At Antioch College this weekend, there was, the Global Summit, the Global Racial and Social Justice Summit that was very well attended by folks from all over the country. There were speeches and performances, things happening on main campus and also Foundry Theater, dances. There was just a great celebration, and I've heard that there's definitely an interest to do it again. There is a proposal, I think, for in a year, but I think maybe 2 years down the road is when the next one might happen. So the Coretta Scott King Center was the primary sponsor, if you will, for that event. And so the Coretta Scott King Center here at Antioch College is certainly on the map and open for business, as it were. So that was a great time. Hopefully some of you all got an opportunity to come over and participate in some of the sessions. But it was an exciting time. Lots of good work went into it, and I'm looking for a lot of great results out of the sessions and whatnot. So I think that's all I have.
Yeah.
Great.
And just as a side note, the students, my understanding is they're moving into the modulars tomorrow. So, and pretty impressive. I think the other thing I wanted to highlight is I felt that this last snow incident, or whatever, snow pleasure was very well handled, I think seamlessly, honestly, by our village crew. So I want to thank you guys for just making that, I woke up on Sunday and there was snow, and yesterday I was able to get out and about, and so it was really nice to just see that I think we got those things nailed down. And so thanks again to our village team, and don't think I have any other announcements, so.
All right, great. Well, thanks for that, and thanks for reminding me, because I would say something about my age and my remembering things, but I don't know that I can blame it on age. So again, thanks for everyone who's been involved with all those events in town. We're moving on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. We have the minutes of our last regular meeting from February 3rd, and also the credit card statement for January. So Chair will entertain a motion to approve, motion and second to approve the minutes from our February 3rd, 2025 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favor of approving those minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion has passed. Now, I will also accept, if you would please, a motion and second for the credit card statement for January.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving?
Can I,
Oh.
I'm sorry, just
Yeah,
a
sure.
couple quick questions. I thought it would be nice to just kind of hear, like, since it was a significant investment, what we did around our Channel 5 investments, which I think everyone appreciates, but I don't know, Johnny, Ben, just to kind of hear, like, what upgrades we've made.
You know what you've bought. Camera. Do you remember what all that invoice is for?
So most of those things are still pending. Next big ticket item is to redo cameras in here. So
Do you know what the credit card purchase was? I think it was the camera. We purchased another
what was the
camera,
amount on it?
3,900.
Yeah, that was the regular camera.
the new camera.
Okay. Nice. And I always like to highlight that we get a significant amount of money every year. Well, I don't know if it's significant,
dropping.
but we get enough money to like cover those purchases, which I think also kind of highlights, and I saw Samantha here, that not only do we, raise money outside of taxpayer dollars to support all the audiovisual stuff we do, but the youth center and Samantha really do a great job of supporting all the things that they do. And so I think it's good for the public to know that not everything comes out of taxpayer dollars, but is, part of like the hard work of our crew. And then I was curious what Grammarly is.
That is something that helps when you do emails. It double checks all the spelling.
I wondered if that wasn't what it was.
That's the pro version,
cool.
by the way.
All right. Well, and since we don't always have like a person to do that, but I'm happy for that expenditure as well. So cool. All right.
Oh, great. Any other questions, comments regarding the credit card statement for January? All right, I believe we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. Now we're down to review of the agenda. This is where we have take the opportunity to take a look at what's on the agenda, see if we're comfortable leaving everything as is, or if there's some burning issue that you'd like to consider being added to the agenda.
So can I just ask in the manager's report that, Johnny, you clarify John Hudson's communication about 20%, which does not sound right to me. So anyway, because I don't know where else I have an opportunity, but just if we can talk about, I don't think we're spending 20% of our budget on housing, so. Okay.
All right. Anyone else on review of the agenda? Excuse me. All right. Given that minor request, we will move on with the agenda as published. And So we'll start here, or we'll pick up where we left off with petitions and communications. And Gavin, if you would, please.
Yeah, the clerk will receive and file the mayor's clerk with their monthly report, Brian Hausch with a CAFCO map, and then with a letter to NHP and Woda Cooper, Al Schluter with questions about affordable housing, Kevin Stokes regarding resubmission of letters from Home Inc. and St. Mary, John Hudson with opposition to village expenditure for affordable housing, and Yellow Springs Senior Citizens Incorporated regarding the replat concerns.
All right. Thank you, Gavin. Is that for the group? No?
Carmen is excellent at helping me get better at pronouncing people's names.
The names around here.
Yeah.
The names of this in this place.
All right.
Thank you.
Good. All right, great. Thank you. So we do have a couple of second readings, but not an emergency. So the chair will entertain a motion to read the second readings by title only. Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved. Second?
All in favor of reading our legislation by title only, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, we are moving on, but I'm going to step away for a moment.
We will wait.
And you are in fact recusing, am I correct?
Yes, thank you. Clerk Judy Kittner.
Thank you.
I am recusing myself from the discussion and vote for the 2 second readings of those ordinances.
Oh, you guys are trying to guess her middle name, okay.
It took him a good 15 minutes, I will say.
October.
Judy, we talked before, you want to do 05 first, right?
Correct.
Okay, so could you read 2025-05 by title only, please?
So I will. This is approving a right-of-way vacation request to vacate one alley off of Livermore Street. Wait,
Okay,
hold
and-
it. Yes. No, I'm sorry. Hold it. East Center is the one that's, okay. So in fact, we
Well,
don't,
you wanna
we
do
don't
4
need to.
first.
Yeah, no, so we don't need to flip them. No, that's the
Okay.
correct one. I'm sorry. So-
We were just trying to figure out, there's one of them that's more complicated and there's one of them that's straightforward, and we were trying to do the straightforward one first, and I think it's 04. So
That
now,
is correct, yes.
04 by title only.
Sorry to confuse the
Rewind,
matter.
restart. Okay.
So this is approving a right-of-way vacation request to vacate one alley off of East Center College Street.
Okay, thank you. And I think, Meg,
All
go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Meg Leatherman, Planning and Economic Development Director. Thank you, Council. This is a second reading and public hearing for a right-of-way vacation application. The application was submitted by Antioch College Corporation, includes portions of 2 existing alleys near the intersection of Livermore and East Center College Street. At the last council meeting, we held a first reading, and required by the code, this is a second hearing and public hearing. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on the application on January 14th and recommended approval 4-0. The alleys under discussion are undeveloped, grass-covered alleys. They do not act as travelways presently. Antioch would like to vacate the alleys so that buildings no longer cross property lines as they currently do, and then subsequently, through a separate replat application, create one vacant lot that could potentially be sold. Presently, a replat application would be unsuccessful because of the lots are considered unlawful since they contain buildings that cross property lines. The Yellow Springs Senior Citizen, Inc. owns the abutting lots to the north, and has submitted a petition along with the vacation application. The YS Senior Center, Inc. is in the process of creating plans to redevelop that vacant piece of land that adjoins this alley. And them, along with Senior Center, have been coordinating together through several meetings with me to vacate the alley and potentially vacate it and potentially replat the lot lines. Since there are 2 separate alleys, one that runs north-south and that runs east-west, 2 separate ordinances have been prepared to distinguish between the 2 that are in front of you tonight, and that's what we were talking about at the beginning of this, the 2025-04 and 2025-05. So The alley that runs north and south is associated with ordinance 2025-04 and doesn't have any other adjoining property owners besides Antioch, owns both sides. And the alley that runs east and west is associated with ordinance 2025-05. And the Senior Citizens, Inc. Is the adjoining property owner to the alley, in addition to the Antioch. So again, the vacation by itself, what would happen with the vacation, it will remove the alley, and then it will provide half of the alley to each adjoining parcel or owner of the lots, which would, since the alley is 15 feet wide, 7.5 feet would go to each parcel or lot. The YS Senior Citizens, Inc. has submitted a letter recently, that's in the packet under comment section, requesting more time before council make a decision tonight on this vacation application, just pointing that out to you, so you make sure you can see it, you saw it. Staff has prepared a staff report, planning commission recommendation that's included in the staff report, and I will stand for any questions.
Cool. So we're just starting with, you kind of talked about both of them, but we're starting with 04.
Oh,
So
right.
right, no, totally fine, but, right?
Right, yeah, I
Yeah.
think we were hoping to discuss like one them separately.
Yeah.
And just, you did not get a motion and a second on 04? Just,
Okay. Sorry.
oh,
So moved.
second.
Now, okay to, do folks have questions for Meg about, I guess 04 to start? If you need to ask about both to understand, go forth, but.
Yeah, or, I have a microphone over there that Ben got me, so I can always, pipe up if you have questions later, no problem.
So I do have kind of a little question. So when you mentioned the piece around Antioch owning sort of both sides of the one, so what happens with the square in the middle, like where the two cross?
Yeah, so where are the two cross? Oh, it will be halfway. So you mean like this where?
Yeah, meaning like to some degree there is a, like it's kind of like which one goes first, right? Meaning like a portion of it, they have a catty corner neighbor,
Right.
right? Anyway, what I'm wondering of the longer term is trying to figure out, is there a solution that makes everybody happy for the
Yeah.
whole thing? And so I just wondered about that piece. I guess if
I
I'm
haven't really gone through like the ramifications of if just one was approved versus
Yeah.
both of them in my, so I can think about that a minute, if you want.
While you're thinking about that, maybe I'll explain the context that led us here. So before the meeting, what we were identifying, as Meg mentioned, there's a letter from the senior center that's saying, hey, they hadn't, when we talked about this at Planning Commission, we were hoping that everybody was going to agree and that we were going to get to that point. And it seems like we haven't gotten to that point where everybody has agreed. And so then there are two pieces, and there was a discussion that was like, hey, the one, which is the alley that connects all the way through from East North College to East Center College, correct?
Correct.
The one that does not have a building
Correct.
over it. That one there's sort of no disagreement about. The only reason that then I flagged there being no disagreement is that I just, to the degree that could that parcel be helpful in getting to agreement on the other alley, essentially. And so I don't want to close the loop on the one alley if it can anyway be helpful to get to an agreement on the two alleys. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it, maybe hearing from both of the interested people about their take on that might be helpful too. Because it has been somewhat challenging with both of them kind of in the middle of their own plans. So there's a lot of moving parts, and I would hesitate to reflect on what their thoughts would be on that without hearing from them.
I also got to back up. Both of them have buildings on them.
Yeah.
You're looking at the lower half.
Sorry, but the one is at least all Antioch's
Correct.
building, as
But they will
opposed
have
to-
buildings on it.
Yeah. Sorry, but not a just.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
I just, yeah. But not an
everybody follow?
associated property owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are there questions? I'd like Meg's suggestion about hearing from folks that are interested, but do y'all have questions beforehand?
Do you want to open the public hearing?
Yes, is that what I have to do in order to get other people
You
to
do.
weigh in?
You do.
Okay,
Yes.
so we could open the public hearing. And thanks for now, Meg. Okay, yeah, would you like to come up?
Are you ready for roll 5?
For what?
The old 5?
No.
Oh, okay, wait, thank you for asking that question. So,
So this is the public hearing on
04, correct.
Okay.
okay, so then do we have to decide about 04 before we can move to 05?
Well, I was just trying to get this question to Amy as to whether how much of that first alley gets vacated can be changed at this point. That is pretty different kind of ordinance. So if you could speak to that, I think that's where you may be going.
Two thoughts. Because I think we're talking about two different things. You could table this one, switch to the other one, if you want to consider the other ordinance first. Judy, you don't see any issue with that, right?
I'm sorry.
Tabling this one and switching to 05 if they want to consider 05 first. But also, in terms of using the land of either alley and to determine where the property lines are going to be, the alleys are where they are, and when vacated, they will split 50-50 to the adjoining property owners. That will not change. What happens after that, Meg can speak to that process, but in terms of the vacation, it's pretty black and white, or that's how those lines will fall. Is that your question?
Basically, so then to fill in the other piece that we talked about, that we're trying to sort out, is that if we vacate, then it's 50-50. It's just down the line, and then if there is a need to change beyond 50-50, so in this case, on the 05 parcel, on the one that runs from Livermore to, sorry, on my map, I don't know what street that, or is that an alley?
Yeah.
The one that runs off Livermore.
Yeah.
Right.
That one, if the Antioch building goes over more than the 7.5 feet, so that if we do just a vacation, then they still need, as I understand it, like 4 more inches of the, so they're going to have to come to an agreement, and right now, and tell me if I mischaracterize this, but I think I understand, they haven't come to an agreement on how to split up the rest of that. So the reason that I'm bringing up the question around the vacation is that I'm wondering if an option that instead of vacating and then basically leaving it as 7.5, but that still the issue isn't resolved, could we in some way give either an easement or some other form where before we vacate it, we do something with it rather than have it just be 50-50? So the reason I was bringing up the East North College to East Center College is because I'm just trying to be problem solving. Could any of those 15 feet be helpful in a shared solution? Because ultimately, and maybe the answer is no, but I'm just trying to not hinder ourselves to what our options are before we've understood the problem.
It's only from here to there. It does not go to east-north.
Okay, then sorry for that lack of confusion, or that lack of clarity. Just so everybody's clear for the record, what Johnny's showing me is that I was trying to articulate where the one off of, you're talking the one off of Livermore, right?
Correct. No, the one off of East North College.
East North College.
You're only doing the bottom half.
Okay, so it's the alley that goes from East North College to the sort of halfway point, not all the way to East Center College.
It goes from the center point to,
If you show them that's
yeah.
Sorry, there's too many maps.
Okay. So this is right here.
Yeah,
This is not getting vacated.
yeah,
This
it's
one
just
is.
this part.
Yeah,
Got it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So
Okay.
Along the lines of what you were just mentioning, Evan, the only thing that council can do tonight or any night on this is vacate it. The lot lines, the replat is between, I mean, obviously, the village will approve the replat, when the time comes, if and when the time comes, but it won't be a matter for the vacation conversation. All council can do is vacate the alleys.
Okay. We can vacate the, but if we vacate, we have less flexibility on platting than if we don't vacate.
I don't think that's true. I think we have we have all the flexibility on replat,
Yeah.
the property owners do, after vacation. What you're getting to, I believe what you're alluding to is an idea like some type of license agreement, right? It's not uncommon for structures to cross a property line, it happens. And, there can be, between property owners, there can be license agreements or some type of agreement reached to allow that, or just, put it into writing to reflect what the realities of the situation. I don't know where this is all heading in terms of a replat, but before the replat occurs, the vacation should occur so that the right-of-way is out of the way, and then the property lines can be drawn. You agree with that?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but I think what I hear from Gavin is that, it will, with just a straight vacation, we'll just say nothing else happened, the building will still be encroaching on a property line, and so we're hopeful for the replat application. I think that's what you keep focusing on, right? And like hoping to find a solution before that decision.
For context, about an hour and a half ago, I got a phone call that was like, hey, this is a little bit complicated. And so I'm trying to be thoughtful about how we navigate it. And whereas previously it seemed like it was an open and shut kind of like, everybody's on the same page, let's, do this thing. Everybody didn't get on the same page. And so then I'm trying to make sure that we don't plow forward and do a thing that's going to be upsetting if we can come to a shared solution, if that makes sense. So it's a little clunky because we're trying to...
I've caught on very fast, honestly, because it's been it's very clunky and very complicated, but yeah. I think
But you have a lot of options. You have a lot of options tonight, right? Because you should hold the public hearings and gather all the information, and then you can decide what to do at that point. If you want to move forward with vacation tonight, you can. If you want to table it and revisit this after the parties privately with Meg helping along the way, just decide what the next steps might look like. But regardless, when a vote occurs on this by council, the vote will be to vacate or not vacate.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry if I've overcomplicated it. I was trying to help. Is everybody okay with hearing from, tabling this one and then hearing from folks? Okay, so can I get a
Motion to table.
Okay. thank you.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now do you mind reading 2025-05 by title only, Judy?
This is approving a right-of-way vacation request to vacate one alley off of Livermore Street.
Okay.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So Meg spoke to, I think, this already. So are there any questions before we move to asking people to talk? Okay.
Just open the public.
Sorry. So open the public hearing. And then now, thank you.
Would you all like a copy of this?
We go.
We
We
have
got it. Yeah.
Did you get a copy?
We have it.
Yeah, we've all got it.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jerry Sutton, president of the Senior Center Board. And good evening to you and the audience. We are here to recommend you suspend action regarding the ordinance 2025-5, as we in Antioch have not reached an agreement regarding our contiguous property lines in time to define what a replat would be. If you look at slide 2, you see the big picture. Our lot is upper right, designated lot 9. It's a little number in the middle of the lot. The lot is situated on the corner of East North College and Livermore Street and abuts the alley under consideration to the south. You may also note Antioch's encroachment upon this alley, which the vacation action would remedy. They would be clean, have a clean slate with you. However, the encroachment on the resulting half of our lot remains. They take their building with all its abutments and protuberances, extend within a foot of the northern property line of that alley. We acquired Lot 9 from Antioch December 23 and are currently in the conceptual design phase for a new center to locate on that lot. We're not trying to enrich ourselves by our opposition. We seek equity. The resolution of the petition, if you would grant the vacancy, would cost us. How does it cost? A contiguous property owner to an alley has an expectation to use the alley at whenever they want to, when it's opened up. And we had that expectation. So by taking all that, we have to take the property line. We'd be willing to give them to the north line of the alley up until the end of what is called Maples. It's the old fire station. But we would like the residual part, the western part of the alley, ourselves. In addition, the cost, because we can't use that alley, is we're going to have to take 15 foot off of our lot for a driveway, so we have flow around the building to accommodate safety, emergency vehicles, fire, service, dumpsters, because this is a pretty good sized building. And let alone other people. So that 15-foot strip off our lot restricts the building location and constitutes 10% of the lot. That costs us. So we are looking for some sort of consideration. In our discussion, we had asked for, if you get to slide 7, it's got some colors on it. You will see there's a little sliver that's yellow. Slide 5, okay. That has a yellow portion. It's kind of a carve out because behind what is known as the trunk building, there are entrances and exits, patios, there's all sorts of hardware, because we have yet to find out what is servicing the land. As near as we can figure, sewers under our property now service the fire station, front room, and goes all the way down to service the apartments. We would like, as part of this, that those utilities, whatever they are, we haven't been able to get a real definition, have them vacated, because we're going to start building to put a foundation in there, and we don't want to do their services. So we came up with this agreement. We've had this on the table since April, or not April, December. Had 2 meetings. We thought we'd come to an agreement, and as your individual has been trying to mediate it, we weren't able to at the last time because Antioch said we haven't got their board approval over the last 6 or 8 weeks. So we would like you on regarding 05 to table. I guess that's time we come to an agreement. I don't think it's insurmountable, but we're not there yet.
Okay, thank you. I think that's good for now, and then does somebody from Antioch want to talk? Have to, I guess, but. Okay. Is there anyone else who wants to speak besides on this public hearing?
I'll just clarify a little bit more what Jerry didn't get to in his portion.
If you don't mind just saying your name.
I'm sorry. I'm Carolyn Mullen. I'm the executive director of the Yellow Springs Senior Citizens Incorporated. And just wanted to clarify that we have several points of agreement that we're asking Antioch College to come to with us, not just the exact division of the alley, but other points to make sure. This is our only opportunity with Antioch to assure they will help us prepare our lot as necessary because of the utilities that are there, because they have a sign on our lot, some other things. So we understand and want to be helpful with Antioch's situation, but we don't want to lose along the way. So the one piece I was going to clarify is that colorful map that has the little yellow strip is where we're asking them to help us come to an agreement of a permanent easement so that we can at least use those spaces to park our cars. We have 4 vehicles. The village is actually offering us parking for our 4th vehicle, which is arriving next month. We are out of parking altogether in our current place. So the question is that the village help us determine the most equitable solution so that we have the best possible location for the senior center going forward. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so now I guess back to council. Any questions that folks have?
So the only thing we're tasked with doing is granting the vacation or no. It sounds like the two parties have more to work out, and I would move to table.
So I just want to make sure, are we missing anything? Meg, Johnny, Jane? I mean,
On the utility-wise, they are not owned by the village, they're owned by Antioch.
Okay.
All the sewer from all the other dorms, and then the water line for the Coretta Scott King Center,
Okay.
and the other building right there comes from East Center. When we put in the new water system down East North College, we did put out water meter or water stops in front of those buildings so they could hook on to.
But if you're saying it comes from East Center,
You're right.
so
It goes to the Coretta Scott King Center, the fire department, and around. So they would have to re-tap into the other street, including sewer.
Yeah, and we've made this aware. I mean, they're aware, both parties are aware of that.
Antioch is aware.
And I think, I don't know if the president of Antioch wants to speak. Did she?
I think Jane might want to.
oh, yeah, sorry, I was trying to offer that in the public hearing, but I mean, it's okay to,
You actually did not close it, so
okay, yeah, yes, come on up. Yeah.
Oh, yes, I can't move anything yet.
Antioch is not opposed to anything on this map, but I do have to have the Board of Trustees approval. I think that's the only thing that's stopping this. I think another comment I should make, I'm aware that we have to change the electricity, power, electricity,
Water and sewer.
water. But that's not something to be taken care of now. It's really now is the decision, your decision about the alley vacation or not. I think maybe there may be too much emphasis on what will happen in the future. I'm prepared for what will happen in the future, but that's not really what's in question. I do have to have the board's approval, and I don't have that yet. But you can vacate or not.
Thank you.
So, Jane, are you opposed to us waiting until the board makes that decision?
That's up to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to table.
I already made that
Or
motion.
did you? All right, I'll second.
Okay, so then we do,
Did we close the public hearing?
No.
okay.
We did not.
So close the public hearing first? Okay.
And then people make motions.
Your motion.
Okay, so I'm closing the public hearing,
Okay.
and then a motion
And I
and
got
a
a
second.
second, yeah.
And then now we take a vote on the motion?
And your motion to table was for 05?
Yeah,
And then you take a vote on the motion, correct?
yeah.
You can just,
So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so now we've tabled 4 and we've tabled 5, and the assumption would be that we would come back when we hear from staff that it's,
you can't table indefinitely. It generally comes back at the next meeting, so
okay. Well, then I guess there's a question of, is that enough time to, when the board's going to meet, or to hear from the board, or are we?
I can make so.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like it probably will be enough time, so then that would be sufficient. Okay, well then I think I'm done for the day.
Nice job.
Good job, Gavin. Thank you, everyone, for the day. Better you than me. Again, well, thank you to everyone for our participation in that. I will not say anything else about it. So, we're now down to reading of Resolution 2025-13. Judy, if you could do that by title only, please.
right, this is repealing Resolution 2018-14, Economic Development Incentive Policy.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
And who's talking about that?
Is it me that? Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, hi, good evening again. We discussed this, I believe, at last meeting about the repeal of the policy. And since that meeting, well, first of all, Kevin, you had asked, I think, for a primer of different, and that was in the packet, right, in the form of a PowerPoint presentation? Great, with different economic development incentives available under Ohio law. Then I saw an email that Brian had shared about a potential economic development deal back in 2019 after this policy was enacted. And in reading that email, I realized that I think we might be talking about two different things. So when I hear economic development incentives, right, I think TIF, tax abatement, PACE financing, they're tools under Ohio law, right? But and the incentive policy bears that out. It does make reference to tax abatements and the like. I think you might have been discussing things like tap fee waivers and, money given to a developer or a business to come into town for land acquisition or site development, things like that. So though the incentive policy incorporates all of those things, I have been speaking strictly to the ones that are creatures of statute that exist under Ohio law. So I still would request that council repeal this policy because I do think that it, from the creatures of statute, TIF, tax abatement, from that approach, this is problematic and potentially very limiting in terms of what council can do. But on the other side of the house, for things like, just simply a financial incentive to draw a business into the village, or again, the tap fee waiver analysis, if council wants some type of policy on point for those types of incentives, certainly that's something we could work towards developing. But the two things should be separate. We want to allow the ones that exist under Ohio law to exist in that way. They all come to council. There is no formal incentive, economic development incentive that anyone is entitled to in the village that doesn't come before council, either in the form of just legislation approving it, sometimes also in the form of an agreement between council and whoever the applicant or the entity requesting the incentives are. So there's going to be a lot of legislative involvement before any of those are approved. So I think repeal is advised. I think if you want something in place for things like fee waivers and just, like I say, a financial incentive to bring someone here, then we can look at that through that lens. But this does both, and it mixes our metaphors, and it makes it complicated.
Amy, thank you for the presentation. It's similar to the one I actually viewed that you all did, where you were a part of it as well as one of the presenters. But this is similar, but not that exact thing. So would you say in general, I think two things are true, but I don't know how much each is. So one, I think, is that our policy is duplicative of existing state law, and therefore, in some cases, unnecessary because it's duplicative. But the other question is, to what degree is our policy more strict or restricting compared to existing state law?
So for lack of a better way to explain this, if you think about it in terms of bureaucratic red tape, the policy creates a whole other bureaucratic red tape process, separate and apart from the one that's created by the Ohio Revised Code for each of those types of incentives. And so in order to even get to the point of analyzing the incentives that council has at your fingertips through state law, we got to get through this first, which would require, generally, you've read it, it's a rubric of grading scale, probably would be something that Meg would do to analyze an applicant and what they're requesting from the village. Then we could get to the state. Now, there's language in here, when you talk about being duplicative, there is language in here that then ties our hands a little bit. There's a 5-year limit in here. I'm just passing out cough drops tonight, Judy, so if you want one, let me know. I've got some back here.
I'm going to wait till it gets more urgent.
Okay.
Thanks. Sure.
Wait till the first.
Mom back tonight. I gave her a Band-Aid earlier, too. So for example, the 5-year limit in the policy, right? Except if special circumstances are shown, I'm paraphrasing. For example, a TIF, tax increment financing, that does not occur in 5-year increments. It happens in 10-year, 15-year, 30-year. So, we would constantly be butting up against that. So if the pleasure of council is not to repeal this, at the very least, I would ask that we take out that 5-year limitation and then go at this with a red pen and turn it more into a policy that guides your very local incentives, nothing that's created by state law, but something that you've got, just from your own powers here in the village. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah, it does. And I think the big key is the duplication of effort, like you said, an extra layer of bureaucracy. Nothing against bureaucrats, but I don't think any of us wants to do unnecessary or extra work, and certainly not from a duplicative perspective. And I would think, depending on the circumstances, knowing what is available and legal, i.e. ORC, and if we have some other creative way of doing something or some proposal, I don't think it needs to be codified at this point to be able to consider offering some other thing, whatever that was. So just like the overlay gateway thing, it was, I think, easier to just set it aside. With all due respect for everyone who developed that, there was some good thought there, but circumstances have changed. And so I think it is simpler, certainly, to repeal and then add back in later some additional things that maybe aren't already offered by ORC. And I don't even know what those things are, if there's anything we would want to do that's not already codified by the Ohio Revised Code. Any other comments from council?
Yeah, so I appreciate Amy. Yeah, and sorry that you hadn't seen that, what we did, try to keep EnviroFlight in town. So, and again, I don't want to, mix metaphors around like repeal and replace, but what I mentioned at the last meeting is I don't want to send a signal by repealing that we don't have a plan in place for what replace looks like. And I mean, to me, that could be just what we promote on our website, kind of figuring out what the strategies are. But I guess, one of the things I don't think any of us have seen, I just saw it today. I really love the Develop Ohio toolkit that
I hadn't seen that. My apologies. I can forward that out to all of council.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool. So I would just say, like, I mean, none of us knew about this. I discovered it, like, looking for something else in an email. We don't have anyone banging down the doors on this particular policy. So I would like to recommend, I don't know if it's tabling or what, but I think I would just like to make sure we have a plan in place for what we're going to do without this policy. And so, I think it's a matter of, maybe on Sustainable Yellow Springs, Allison emailed, and I know Johnny and Meg and maybe Amy met with Allison. She supports removing this layer. But I think it would just be best for us to, when we do that, to say we're not abandoning the fact that Yellow Springs is open for business, and these are the things that we care about and want to promote. So I just don't think there's a rush to take action tonight until we've got that in place. So that's my recommendation. And we could also engage the YSDC a little bit more, because at our last meeting, we let them know we were talking about this, but there wasn't any discussion. So those are my thoughts.
Excuse me. I'd like maybe to invite our new economic development professional to say a few things.
Okay. I mean, I hear your comments, Brian's comments. I just don't, I respectfully disagree. And I'm hoping we don't have to continue it, discussion of it. I think that we've made a pretty loud message with changing my title and hiring a position that's focused on economic development. And I'm a staff person dedicated to YSDC, and the way I've been viewing it is that YSDC is the economic development arm of the village. So I don't know how, I mean, obviously in the council members as the YSDC rep are representing the council's voice in that and setting that information and values and goals. So it seems a little bit redundant in that way. And I'm working very closely with Brian and with Wyatt. We have a meeting, we already scheduled a meeting for Thursday afternoon. And we're outlining and discussing our goals with YSDC right now. I don't know, I realize maybe it's been like that for a while, but I think we're kind of hoping to move in a different direction with the new position. Oh, the other piece of that, the website. And that's one thing I want to talk to Brian about was we already have plans with my new position started last week to update our website on the village. I don't want to make a wholehearted decision on my own, but I have initial thoughts on that because right now on the village's website, it's it hasn't been updated in a while. It's like an economic commission or something like that. So the YSDC also has a website, so putting thought into that. But one of my top things I want to do within the next month or so is come up with strategy on how I want to get that message on either website, one or the other, or direct people to the right place. So I think we're moving in that direction. That's my 2 cents.
So what I just heard Meg say is, at least you have concepts of a plan to replace what this policy was intended to do. So we're not
Yeah.
losing anything by repealing it.
Well, I do think I do agree with Amy that it is an extra layer. And, I mean, the pieces of how the messaging in it that outlines the values and kind of the goal of economic development in general, I think can be replaced by putting something on our website. But like the application process will be just a layer, and it'll prevent people from doing more development here, if anything. And I guess that was it.
Well, I guess I'll just say, I don't think we disagree.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we also heard Amy say, like, we could, instead of repealing this resolution, or this policy, we could adjust it. So I'm just saying, like, let's wait. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have to do it tonight.
That was the
So-
other piece, sorry, the time sensitiveness piece. There is some time sensitiveness to it, just because we're having conversations with, like, we're trying to do a TIF with Windsor, so it would apply to them potentially, right? Looking at Amy, I mean, so then it would trigger that, or even.
Well, a TIF is not part of this policy.
It would be. It would be. That's what I'm saying, in terms of our ships passing, when we first started talking about this. The way this is drafted, it makes reference to tax abatement or other as deemed, and then it goes through fee waivers, utility and all that, and then others as deemed appropriate. So when I read this as applying to abatement, to incentives, which would be abatements and TIFs. So if it doesn't apply to a TIF, then we need to rewrite it accordingly and make sure that that's reflected. The other concern about this is a lot of this policy boils down to this idea of a cost-benefit analysis, and whether an applicant has brought to you and presented to you enough to establish that the cost-benefit analysis bears out awarding the incentive. But there's no guidance in terms of what that cost-benefit analysis needs to look like. So what's the goal of any legislative authority, right? Is to never be unreasonable, arbitrary, capricious. You're going to be, if faced with, for example, a TIF, you are going to be hearing, first of all, TIFs come with extensive modeling, right? You would be given a lot of numbers that show you, that bear out what the TIF will look like and how the numbers would shake out. But in addition to that, you'll have legislation in front of you spelling out the decisions. And again, sometimes there could be agreements in place. It just depends on the situation. So from your legislative authority perspective, we're going to be looking at it in that regard, but we'll have already, if this incentive policy stays in place, need to be looking at it in that regard. And so we're coming at the same applicant and the same development twice. And if there's inconsistencies between how those are applied, then that raises issues as well.
Well, I've heard our solicitor and our economic development specialist, and I may have butchered your title, director, oh my.
Planning and Economic Development Director.
So, and given the time-sensitive nature of upcoming deliberations, I don't see a path forward without repealing this. And there's a saying, chew the meat and spit out the bone. Keep the good stuff. And I don't think we're going to throw away the good stuff, but it's not even our good stuff. It's already codified in state law. So I think, again, based on the recommendation that I've heard and the suggestion that Meg is working on putting together some place to hold the kinds of things that we want to say about economic development. And again, the biggest thing is, why make that applicant have to go through two completely separate, one of which being redundant to the other processes? So, any other conversation? Any other discussion? Okay. Well, does anyone want to make a motion in one direction or another?
You've got a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve? Okay, then. All right, any other discussion before we put it to the vote? All right, Judy, let's do a roll call vote, please.
All right. Gustafson?
And just to be clear, the motion was to repeal, correct?
Correct.
Okay, yes.
DeVore Leonard?
Yes?
Hausch?
Abstain?
Brown?
Yes.
Stopes?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right,
So before we leave this topic, since we did have a presentation, I am curious, beyond sharing the Develop Ohio toolkit that no one read, TIFs can happen no matter what. Amy, can you tell us a little bit about CRAs and NCAs?
Sure.
Because I know PACE, we had to do some work ahead of time.
And actually, we didn't finish it. In order for us to actually utilize PACE financing in the village, I think there's some additional steps that need to be taken with the setting up of the ESID. The first step was taken.
We have to have the first,
Yeah, I think there's more steps there. So, first of all, I do not pretend to be an economic development or public finance attorney. We have an entire team of attorneys that do that, and any economic development incentives that are utilized in the village will be handled by our public finance attorneys. Meg is already in touch with a couple of those guys, and it will definitely not just be me handling this.
Right.
So, but I know enough to be dangerous and muddle through these questions. Let's start with CRAs. That's community reinvestment areas. That's the tax abatement program. The village does not currently have a CRA in place. So, if that's something that you want to look into, that's a conversation that we can have. I would bring in one of our public finance folks to talk to you about that and present, how exactly that would work. There's a lot of nuances within the law. You can take it in a lot of different directions. And there's a lot of use in that space around the state. If you just Google it, you're going to see that a lot of communities around the state are doing some creative things with CRAs right now. And with a CRA, once you did put that policy in place, there's ways that we could structure it specifically within multifamily residential, if you wanted to allow for multifamily residential properties to have access to those abatements, we could structure it in such a way that there would be development agreements, so that there would actually be a contractual agreement between council and the developer.
So is CRA, I guess I'm looking at a spectrum of, PACE, we had to do some legislation in advance. TIF, it's project-based.
Sure.
Which way is CRA?
CRA is a village project that would be put in place. There needs to be housing studies done and a lot of preliminary steps that have to take in order for it to be out there available for applicants to take advantage of it, right? To apply or request those tax abatements. PACE financing is a public-private deal where it is a private lender that's sliding into that financial stack for that development. The village exists as the legislative mechanism that allows that assessment to get put on that property. So basically, a property owner for PACE would be, doing something in their build that meets the standard, some type of environmentally friendly construction that would then allow them to access PACE financing. Again, I'm no public finance lawyer, so we would have to get to the real pros on this to get all these details. TIF, so that PACE is like I say, it's just financing in their stack to assess the property in order for them to, have access to that additional level of funding. CRA is a tax abatement where an applicant or a property developer says, we want to develop in the village, but we don't want to pay taxes on it. Is there a way for us to avoid paying property taxes for a certain period of time? There is, under CRAs, under tax abatement, under Ohio law. TIFs, the taxes are still paid, the money is still paid, but if the property is worth very little right now, undeveloped land, and then it's developed into something much more, much higher value from the county perspective, that increase in value from where it stands in that snapshot in time before development to the point where it's developed, that increase in value, that money, instead of being paid as traditional property taxes, is paid as payments in lieu of taxes, pilots, and those payments are pulled aside and given back to the village to fund various, usually infrastructure projects that are allowed under those statutes. So those are the three big tools that I would expect.
And then NCA?
That I would expect we would see. I would expect you could see PACE financing, you could see CRA abatements, maybe you could see TIF. NCAs are a different animal. You're creating a new political subdivision it's its own political subdivision under the law that can then levy a charge onto generally a single-family development. And so then there's a fee that's passed down to the property owners. Then that money is collected to pay for items for the greater good.
So just to be clear, like my interest is what of these, incentives we need to do something in advance. So we did something in advance with PACE. TIF, I know, it's project specific. So
we need to see PACE through. We need to see the ESID through and get that completely stood up so that if somebody does want to pursue that type of financing in the village, they have access to it. CRA, tax abatement, that's a bigger undertaking. That's a bigger conversation. Johnny and I had a conversation about that just this afternoon that would, it's probably time to maybe set, I hate to say these words because sometimes I get dirty looks, maybe time to set up a work session to talk about something like that and bring in
Gavin loves work sessions.
Who can speak, bring in someone who can speak more eloquently than I can about what the CRA process looks like and how it would operate.
Okay.
But then once you did those preliminary steps and had that CRA in place, you would have that ability, depending on how we set it up, developers or whoever is coming to you for these abatements would have access to that type of abatement.
Cool.
Again, legislative authority, this is all coming to you. And one of the things I meant to say earlier, and I got distracted and forgot to say it, this policy, this incentive policy, I'm blowing past all of the language in the beginning and focusing only on the things that I see that could get in the way of council being able to approve an incentive. But the policy does make reference to village values. And so in repealing that, I certainly don't mean to suggest that any of those values are not also applicable to some of these incentives, right? There are ways that we could structure them. The CRA program, for example, we could structure these in a way that they're tailored to village values. And both for TIFs and CRAs, there is a section in the Ohio Revised Code, a non-discrimination provision, which requires any business that's going to operate with these incentives to have particular non-discrimination policies in place in order to have access to those incentives, and that's set by state law. So I had meant to mention that earlier and I forgot.
Cool.
And I'm going to send all of you the toolkit. It really is very cool. I mean, it's a lot.
It's super cool.
It's definitely worth flipping through. And like I say, maybe we can look towards setting something and having someone from our public finance team come out and speak to all of council about.
And I think just adding, just thinking about Brian's, like, what should we focus on next? I guess our thought is, tell me if I'm wrong, Johnny, I think the glass farm, like, that's the next property I think we could prepare with one of these tools, prepare for, and maybe the work session can kind of be geared towards which one would be best for that property.
And even the CBE, right? There's possibility.
CBE.
There's possibility for a TIF on that land, if council was interested in exploring something like that, which would, like I say, the money still gets paid by whoever develops there. It's just how it gets channeled, and under a TIF, some of that money would come directly to the village. It's a big conversation, and definitely one we should be having, in my opinion.
All right.
But of course I say that. We have a whole team of public finance lawyers.
Yes, your friends will talk to us, yes. Well, thanks to everyone for your participation and all the clarifying pieces of information on that. So, we're at Citizen Concerns. This is the part of the meeting where individuals from the public are invited to come up and talk to us about almost anything you want to talk about. We do have our clock on the wall. We do ask that that each of you that does come up to speak offer unique statements. We don't want you to repeat what others have said unless you have an overwhelming reason for doing so. Council, by the way, is not obligated to respond to any questions or concerns or topics that are brought up, but we deviate sometimes, and we may. So, citizen concerns. Does anyone want to come up and speak? You don't have to.
You guys are going to be shy.
And so please introduce yourself, tell us your affiliation with the village, and then share your thoughts.
Hey, good evening. My name's Todd Foltz. I live just outside the village and have a business here in the village. Been here for about 3.5 years. So I want to commend you guys for the affordable housing project that you've been able to push forward. I'm a real estate developer, investor myself. We've done thousands and thousands of units in Montgomery County. Conversations are never easy, especially with the community and with the public. I've said many zoning hearings where I was the one testifying and the only one in there for something, so I know how hard of a decision that was. But there are a couple things that's been on my mind. I'm a longtime listener, first-time caller to the council here. I wanted to use that line for a long time.
It was appropriate. You'll go down in history.
But I do listen to every council meeting since I've been out here, and I'm kind of a council meeting nerd. I listen to every council meeting around. I think it's important to understand what's going on in our communities. But a couple meetings ago, I heard a school board member stand up here and accuse Mr. Housh of making some comments, and then afterwards he said they were taken out of context and not really correct in how they were said. So I said, I'm going to give both parties the benefit of the doubt, and I did a FOIA request. And I did pull that email because I wanted to see what was happening, because I thought that the way that it was displayed was undermining the process between both boards. And the email was clear. It was a response to another council member, Dorothy, who was asking some other school board members about the LIHTC credit. And the email said, from Housh to Judy Himpling, my phone shut down for a few hours. Annoying, but Dorothy is crazy, as this email highlights, and she needs to be ignored. We can't lose our sanity over her and Amy Bailey's insanity. Otherwise, Rick asked me to call him in the morning. So that is the whole context of it, which I think is wildly inappropriate to have a conversation like that between board members. That's just my opinion, and no personal attack on him or the other board member, because I don't know anybody. So this is just my opinion. Further, I listened to, or I read an email or a note to the developer that Brian displayed on social media that was giving recommendations to the developer, Woda Cooper, about all the things they thought should happen with unit size, and including using home ink. And the email told them that it would go a long way with the community. But that email was signed by Brian Housh, and at the bottom of it, it said council member. And I thought to myself, let me put my developer hat on, my investor hat on, my professional hat on. And if I was on the receiving end of that, I would take that as the city or the village council telling me these are the things they want to see for a project to move forward, not as a personal opinion of one person. And I think when I read those things, that adds an incredible confusion to the entire process and undermines what you guys are attempting to accomplish here. I have done thousands of projects. I've built car washes in Virginia, Ohio. I build low-income housing projects. I have never, ever had a council member send me a direct email. Everything comes from a city manager, or it comes from a zoning administrator, or it comes from an attorney, because that's just not the appropriate way to handle things. And what I would say is there's two things that really need to happen. And I don't know a lot of people in the community, but I know there's two sides, and a lot of people aren't happy one side or the other. And I'll close with this. The school board itself needs to begin their healing process between each other. The community needs to begin their healing process with this, and there's never going to be everybody happy with the project. I support your guys' project. I don't have anything against Home Inc. I don't have anything against Mr. Housh, but I will say that I want to give you guys credit for bringing in a for-profit developer who does not have a connection to the village, and for them using a CHOTO that does not have a direct connection to the village, because they will be more efficient, they will handle the process, and all of the emotions and things will be removed. But there are some certain conflicts of interest with this, and conflict of interest don't mean monetary. Oftentimes they're emotional. And when those conflicts of interest are on the outward appearance for the community, that erodes the trust of a process. And I think two things really need to happen. Number one, there needs to be an apology to these school board members that were involved in this. I think it was inappropriate, and they deserve that apology, and they probably didn't deserve it. That's one. And number two, I think this council, somebody should have enough courage to pass a motion, or whatever you guys would like to do, however you want to word it, to censor or restrict or restrain not just Mr. Housh, but any council member from having direct contact with any school board member or any developer or any other organization involved in this process. And that communication should come directly from Mr. Burns, your attorney, or zoning administrator. Otherwise, you'll continue to add conflict and confusion to everybody that's involved in this. When a board makes a decision, doesn't matter if you're the dissenting party or if you're the agreeing party, the board needs to support that moving forward, and nobody on this council should take any action or do anything that undermines that process. Otherwise, you're just taking away the trust of the community, no matter what side you're on. So nothing personal to anybody, but that's my opinion. Whether means anything to you or not. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for the information, Mr. Pulse.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anyone else with citizen concerns?
Again.
Hi, Dino Pilata.
You say so.
I have a couple things regarding the letters that came into communications. I have a question. Are we for affordable housing or are we for Home Inc? RFP was put out, decision was made, Home Inc and St. Mary's finished third out of fourth. Woda Cooper won the bid and hired the Chodo NHP from Springfield for an additional $4.5 million in funding that helps them in the scoring process for the application. I know I sat at the BZA meeting and I had Mr. Hausch and I had a representative from Home Inc. that both heard discussions from both of you that said you felt that Home Inc. is going to be entitled to money from the LIHTC project, or you wanted to be involved in the LIHTC project. Home Inc.'s not a Chodo. St. Mary's didn't win the bid, and WODA put up $200,000 for the soccer fields. No one else did. That's a big issue. As stated from WODA, they're employee-owned. They have 330 communities in 17 states. They have vast knowledge and know-how of how to navigate local zoning issues, and it's not going to be a problem here with them working with Yellow Springs. The continual actions and the things that keep on going on with this issue begs the question: Are we saying, is this sour grapes? Are we trying to do a scorched shift policy and blow up this project because Home Inc. didn't win the bid? The actions are certainly appearing to keep on going this way since we keep on causing more. There keeps on becoming more interference, and we're not getting to the betterment of the project. The project is get the LIHTC project built, or at least get the application in. I consider myself a successful salesperson for 35 years. I'm not seeing this kind of behavior in anything that I've done with sales when you've lost a bid. Once you lose the bid, you're out. You're out of the position. You don't keep on trying to work yourself back into it. The bid is the bid. The decision's been made. Let's move on. It's simple, basic sales 101. If you want to do business in the future, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. I've won many deals in my career, and I've lost deals in my career. The continual behavior we keep on seeing from everybody is unacceptable, when it's coming from Home Inc. or it's from Brian or from whomever. And I'm not singling you out. I'm just saying, in general, what we've seen come out here and continually happen. That's not professionalism, in my opinion, and that needs to stop, and we need to move forward. I also know there's been conversations from community leaders and members stating that you need to bow out gracefully from this and move on. Regretfully, that hasn't happened. If we wish to do business here in the future, you got to know where your bread's buttered. I've said it before, you got to act in a professional manner. As any salesperson knows, you don't win all the time. And when you lose, you reflect back, you learn from your mistakes, and you do what you need to do to win in the future. That doesn't seem to be happening here. The actions from Home Inc., from Brian or from the other, and again, I'm not trying to single you out, but this is, you were at the BZA meeting and your representatives were, so I sat there and listened to it. It's not helping us move forward. We need to move forward. We need to get out of the way of this. Let the process develop. Let the process happen. Let WODA do their job. They got an application coming in. They're spending the money for the application. Let the process happen, and let's move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dina. Anyone else? Oh, yep.
My ears were burning. I'm Emily Seibel, Executive Director of Yellow Springs Home Inc. I wasn't actually planning on saying anything, but since our name's being bandied about a little bit, I did just want to clarify a few things. One is that we strongly support this project. We have never wavered in that support. We are encouraged that WODA Cooper has expressed an interest in partnering with us around service coordination provision. We are disappointed that WODA did want to partner with us in a development capacity and then reversed course in late January. I think with different communication, we'd probably be in a different place that had a higher return on investment to the village. And really looking to the future, we're thinking about 5 generations from now. Yellow Springs Home Inc. is a community land trust. I know there's been some talk about a deed restriction. which is a commonly used tool, but it is imperfect. So looking to the future, let's just talk about that. So deed restriction can place limitations on the use of land, but its efficacy is contingent on its enforcement by a stewarding agency. There's a risk of non-compliance. This is highest at the point of transfer of title, by inattentiveness by a title company, or disregard by buyer and seller. We see this happen. I have personally seen this happen. And the village chose the community land trust model 25 years ago as your accountable, local, place-based organization, because we're more than a piece of paper. We're an entire organization dedicated to long-term land stewardship and enforcement of what you want to have happen to a property, to permanent affordability. So, as I've said since day one, we're ready to serve. It's critical to think through this stuff now before anything is signed, before the train leaves the station, if there is a development agreement, whatever work you're doing with Wodo Cooper. And we've talked with them about this too. We've talked with Johnny and Meg about it. But it's critical to think through year 15 now. Super important. Get something in writing. Super important to think through year 30. And we strongly advocate the land be placed into your community land trust. It can be leased to the project. The building can be owned by the investment stream, which is going to happen anyway, and leased to the project. And then if there's an option in 15, option in year 30, plus the land and the land trust, those would be actual legal safeguards to protect your public investment, which is not insignificant. So we also applaud all of the work that has been done to this point, and we support this process and are just continue to be enthusiastic about getting affordable housing of scale to Yellow Springs. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Any other comments? Any more citizen concerns? Going once, going twice? Alrighty. Thank you much, everyone, for your civic engagement. We really do appreciate you. We're in special reports. We got 3 special reports in the order listed. It's an end-of-year report from the Bryan Center Youth and Parks Coordinator, Samantha Stewart. Oh, she gets that. Okay. The Samantha Stewart, I hear.
So I think you guys all know that I probably have the funnest job.
Yeah?
Pretty much, like 80% of the time, it's just fun. So, first of all, thank you to Judy and Ben for that YS Eclipse t-shirt stuff. I think it was you guys that got it rolling, because we made $3,079.25 just off the sale of those t-shirts.
Nice.
Wow.
From all the community that supported us too. Yeah. So what we did with that money is, I don't know if you can see, yeah, so that's other stuff, but we got a new little kitchen area.
Yeah.
And I called a little kitchenette, and it really has transformed the way that we can help feed these kids. From, instead of just relying on a microwave, we have a little convection oven, air fryer. We have crock pots that we love running. And then we now have a little walk, and we're really excited about doing Cooking with Carmen on the 4th Monday of every month.
Yeah. Wow.
By the way, guys.
Didn't know
So we're
about
still
that.
in the planning process, but we're gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Cooking with Carmen.
Yeah.
I think I'm going.
Yeah, Cooking with Carmen. Yeah. So that's what we did with some of it. And then, our daily activities, we just really want to make sure that we're providing a safe, inclusive spot for all village youth from age 10 to 18. We averaged 25 kids per day last year. We provided all snacks and drinks for after-school programming from our budget and generous donations. Around 16 meals a night, Monday through Friday. Daily homework help. We collaborated with Greene County Public Libraries to host those 2, and they're free tutoring sessions for all ages. Of course, we do our craft, movie, game, and gym nights every night. Okay, so our fundraising, like I said, the t-shirts, that was amazing. It was just amazing. Then we did street fair parking as usual, and we got a really nice donation from the First Baptist Church. Really, really huge, nice donation from street fair parking. So these are all the fun things we did with that money. Okay, so we really wanted to show everybody how much we appreciate it. I'm gonna get a little emotional. So we wanted to do community events to show everybody, and we really rely on you guys for that. We appreciate it. We did 2 movie days. We rented out the little art, and we had so many people show up, young to old. Old people alone, young people alone. It was great. Then trunk or treat. That was so much fun. And we paid for all of the stuff that we needed. We got a lot of help, of course, from Ms. Florence, YSPD, and just a lot of businesses in town. Just really helped us. And I think I probably asked for help. And I think if we really put it out there like, hey, we'd like your support, I think we would get more, because that's just where we live. Okay, so then we also did our normal holiday parties. This year we did fun stuff. We did Valentine's, we did Cinco de Mayo, lots of little field trips. Like we went to graduation, we do sporting events for the high school, middle school, talent shows, things like that. We just want to support our peers. And also, let's see, of course, crafting. We started a book club. There's only 2 of us in it. I was one of them. Maybe that'll get bigger. I don't know. We'll see. But we read all the Percy Jacksons. And, of course, Kings Island, as usual. You know, we like the haunted stuff more than we like the hot summer stuff. So that's always fun. That was huge this year. It was huge. I think we had 40 kids. Yeah. And then we did the zoo. We went to Cincinnati Zoo for the Festival of Lights, and that was pretty cool. But we definitely have to go back in the summertime when the animals are actually out. Right. So we're going to do that this year. And we took a pottery class with John Bride Pottery. That was fun. We learned how to make little pinch pots, and then we also did we learned how to make little clay figurines with our modeling clay. That was pretty cool. Of course, that's, community service always for the kids. We will always help them get their community service. They have to have it. So they can do it with us. And we're not going to make it super hard, but we are going to make them work. So there we've got some kids that help us with parking. We've got some that do chaperoning us with Kings Island because we have so many younger kids. So it's nice to have that extra hand of a teenager. So we do that. Okay, so the pool. Now we're on to the pool. We sold 122 YS resident family passes, 9 senior passes, 4 junior passes, 9 adult, and 2 adult plus ones. We sold 31 non-resident family passes, 3 senior passes, and 6 adult passes. So our Swimming for All program, we talked about that last year. So many people came in and bought gift passes for families this year. So that program was underutilized this year, but it was because people really stepped up to help their neighbors. So that was pretty cool to see too. So we only did 7 family passes, 1 junior pass, 1 senior, 1 adult, and 1 adult plus minor. And I did not keep track of the gift passes bought, but if I see that again this year, I'll make sure that I do that. Okay, so we averaged 88 visitors per day. The John Bryan Youth Center did pool day every Wednesday, and lunch was provided almost every Wednesday by the Beloved Community Project for those days out. I think we did pizza a couple times, but they provided lunch. The Sea Dogs had practice and their home swim meets June through July. And of course, we did our free lessons for any village resident. Then we've got our lifeguard staff. Excuse me. Those certifications can cost anywhere from $200 to $300, and recertification is about half of that cost. So it's really hard to keep staff coming in and to stay interested because it costs money to do that. So, like I always say, we get lucky. We have return staff year after year, but they still have certification fees. So we had some really nice donations from that last year, from Gila Pomeranz and Noreta Alexander. So, we have a little bit of money this year to help get some recertifications done, because I'm pretty sure with the exception of 2 of the returning staff that I'm hoping to have, all of them need recertified. So, we do in-services every year. every 2 weeks, sorry. This year we did our first lifeguard certification course, and we pulled one of them from that class into our rotation. So I'm looking to do that again. I'm already in the plans of getting it all scheduled and ready to go. I think it's beneficial to have it for local youth, and hopefully, we can work out some sponsorships to get these kids certified if that's something that they're interested in. We also had a really huge doggy swim on our very last day. There were, I can't even remember how many dogs. There was dogs everywhere. Just dogs everywhere. I loved every second of it. Yeah, always with the dogs. And again, we did Safety Village with YSPD. That's always pretty fun and cute. Another enjoyable thing. And then just really, if you can see everybody on this list, and I'm sure I forgot people, I'm so sorry, but we really were loved this year. And we appreciate it. And that's it.
All right.
Tutoring.
Yeah.
Tutoring. You didn't
Tutoring.
mention.
Yeah, so tutoring Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3:30 to 5. It's free. It's free. All the time.
It's free.
When the kids are on break from school, like spring break, summer break, there's no tutoring, but we start right back up. Yeah, use it. A lot of the times your kid can get one-on-one.
Yeah.
Greene County Public Library funds it all. So, yeah, and we have snacks.
Great.
Yeah, you do.
Well, Sam, I want to thank you for the presentation. I am moved by the emotion that you showed. I see your passion.
Yeah.
I feel it, and that's, money can't buy that. So we really appreciate the love that you show for the youth of our community.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy job. Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably take less money then, right? No, I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking. So, on a serious note, is there something we can do to make things better?
I just think, Brian touched on it, where, I have a budget that we use every year. It definitely, as you can see, with all the extra funds we got last year, all the other stuff we were able to do. So, we're never going to say no to donations, sponsors, fundraising ideas, things like that. So,
Well, as needs arise, please let us know. I think we have, as a council and as individuals on council, have done things to help out.
Yes.
And I would submit that we're all willing to do that when asked. Okay.
Yeah, so far we've managed to do our field trips at no cost. So we're paying for everything. We're paying for tickets, we're paying for meals for the day. So yeah, like I said, we're never going to turn down sponsoring, donations, anything.
Great. Anything else?
Well, I was just going to say, I think, feeding that through Johnny, and, whenever, there is, a potential, an opportunity for donations. I did want to ask, compared to last year, how do you feel the pool did?
Compared to the year before,
Yeah.
I feel like the pool did better as far as certain things went. Obviously every year chemical prices go up, and utility, it costs more to run every single year.
Right.
But as far as, attendance, I think we did really well.
Yeah,
Daily-
88 average seems pretty
Yeah,
good to
and
me,
our
yeah.
top day was 304.
Wow.
So, we missed 4th of July midnight swim this year, but that's weather related. There's not much you can do about that.
Right,
And I
right.
have to have the staff to have a large public event, so if we can't do it on the scheduled day, there's not much we can do about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Samantha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
the team. Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
are
thank you.
awesome.
Florence.
I was just going to say one thing about the...
Florence, you want to come up to a mic, please, or grab one behind you? Oh, they're all over the place.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention street fair parking. We did something different this year. It's mandatory for the PD to work that day, and so we enjoy that. But we don't work all day there because we have other things to do. So that past year, we got volunteers, and we started to charge. We took donations, and we recommended donations comparable. People gave $5, $10. I don't know if you want to put a price on it, but I don't know how
I
much
can't put
that
a price
brought
on
in.
it.
But that is helpful because people know that parking costs, and they want to help, most of them. So I would suggest that we make that official, that once the PD leaves, and especially the handicap lot, that some people volunteer and donate those funds to the youth center.
Yeah, 12, I think it was 12, a little under 13 that we made just from that lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, turnover, I was shocked.
And we've got the best parking lot.
Yeah.
So I think what Florence is saying is we could use council members to help staff that lot.
That'd be great.
I'm already
Youth
cooking.
Center.
Yeah.
I'm cooking.
That'd be great.
I mean, that would be a great thing to put out there. I mean, I remember YSKP, when they were doing parking. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll take any help we can get. Yeah. Easy. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody
Thanks,
need anything else
Samantha.
from me?
Nope, we're good. Thank you,
Sign up
Sam.
5 of them.
And Florence probably wasn't referring to street parking that folks are expected to pay,
Right.
but folks are expected to pay for street parking.
Anywhere else, park
Yep.
at that cost.
Absolutely.
So just wanted to throw that little thing in there. All righty. So we have next for our interview, the next interview report, speaking of Florence, from our community outreach specialist, Florence Randolph.
Okay.
Get your wallets out now.
That's right. We don't.
I'm sorry.
We do not turn away donations at all.
Yep.
Of time and of money and of food. My report for the year is in the report for the figures are in the police department report, but I just kind of wanted to highlight a couple of things in that report, in that this year we have sort of a different situation when it comes to food, because in feeding families, and we fed the kids during the summer, we have a recovery house now in Yellow Springs, and those guys who are serviced there at the Emerge House, Emerge Springs is what it's called. They come in from all different situations, but they don't have their paperwork done yet for Job and Family Services to get their SNAP card, which is their food card. And so, meantime, they have to eat. And so the Yellow Springs Community Foundation Fund that supplies gift cards from Tom's, has been supporting that effort. So I just decided to go back and take an amount, and I just want to again applaud the Yellow Springs Community Foundation for all that they do and have done. And they spent over $14,471 for food vouchers for Tom's Market. That's all of us. That's the Community Foundation and the fund that they have set up. So you can always donate to that, because people and families need that food. They're hungry. These children are hungry, and these guys need that help to help them to support themselves and get a leg up after going through whatever they're experiencing. And a lot of times they've lost their families, they don't have a job, they don't have transportation. We also have bus passes that we give out. I still have some sponsored from donations and grants from the year before. So I give them bus tokens to get to their appointments to Xenia. They can transfer at Wright State to go over to Dayton, because they do have to make some appointments and things. So I just wanted to highlight that. The other thing I wanted to highlight is that we have been helping the Beloved Community Project at Christmas time. And this year, there were tags on the tree, and at the youth at the high school came up with whatever plan they came up with, but it wasn't congruent with what was happening at the library. So, long story short, we had 41 students who had put in for items to be purchased for them, and they assumed that it would be through the giving tree. And they did it through Cresco, who helped out tremendously. They could not honor all those requests. And so I said to my colleagues here in the village that we needed to support 41 students with at least one $10 gift card or something, so that they would have something for Christmas, because they had put this tag out there and they thought it would be serviced by Cresco, and they did help, but it was just, they were overwhelmed. So, along with Cresco, the Village of Yellow Springs, the employees, and donations from the YSPD, we came up with $1,591 to service 41 children for Christmas. And that's amazing, because we had 2 days to get that done. I had to do all the shopping, which I didn't mind. But we want to make sure it doesn't happen that way this year, because it was hectic. But all I want to do is to say, the Village of Yellow Springs, you don't know how blessed you are to have a group of people who care. They might talk a lot and say things that you don't like, but when it comes right down to it, when there's a need, when there's an ask, we come through as a village, as a team. So let's remember that when you're out there having your discussions about what you disagree with. Remember that we have a village of people here who want to be here, barely afford to stay here, and some have to move away. But they have needs that are not being met, and we need to look to what's our future, what is coming to, about not only housing here, but with food, and with transportation, and with the mental health instabilities in our village. We gotta look to our village as a whole and see how we can help. It's a changing world. All the meetings I've been in lately about all the entities that we do business with, our collaboratives, Miami Valley CAP, United Way, Housing Solutions, the churches in town, Homeful. All these people use funds that come from the government, and they've been put on hold. They don't know where they're going to get funds going forward for grants and things. So we got to look to what we're going to do as a village to help the village as a whole. I know that, you have your specific areas that we're helping, but just remember that we're still dealing with a lot of people problems where they don't know where to turn, and we are here to help them. So, and I want to say I'm so proud of my police chief and our
Oh, man, way to set her up. Thank you. Well, but we wanted to check in. Florence, thank you for that. It was good. I haven't looked at my copy of the Grapevine, but I did peek at someone else's, and I saw you were featured in there. So I haven't had a chance to look at that yet, and so I'm glad that happened. It was well deserved. So thank you for all of that, and I'll open the dais to other council members if you want to query or congratulate Florence on anything.
Yeah, I just want to say amazing, Florence, but also make sure that we're in the loop when you have those needs. So for Christmas and everything else. So
Okay.
Already, great.
You want to support?
You heard it first.
Yeah.
And we're- it's up
I'm
to-
the easiest person to, get any
Well,
support
I do
from.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just want to shout out to those people who donate anonymously. They don't want any accolades or anything, but we have people in this community that when there is a homeless person around or there is somebody in need, they call and they say, hey, do you know about this person, what this doing? And the village comes together to help. And we have some people who have taken on helping people in the village, and they're doing well now. We didn't think that was going to happen, but I just want to say that there are those in the background that specifically help people in this village who are struggling, and they don't ask for any congrats.
Thank you, Florence. Appreciate that. You inspire those folks, I'm sure, to do so much good. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, a QR code.
Yeah. So she needs a QR code for when she starts wanting people to open up.
Support at.
I love it.
My goodness. There you go.
So now our special report
Yes,
from
absolutely. I just jumped up
YSPD.
here. Hopefully that was okay.
No, absolutely.
Really don't know who set me up for failure here by putting me behind Sam Stewart and Florence Randolph, the two saints of the village, but it is very fitting because I think this annual report is always a time for us to reflect on the accomplishments. While we can definitely acknowledge the opportunities that we have, we look back on this year and I see a lot of success, and that success is 100% contributed to the team that I'm surrounded with. Florence is a huge part of that. I mean, her report in here alone takes up probably 4 pages because she does a lot of helping. Her workload is unbelievable, and I'll come back to you guys later this year with what I think will alleviate that. So it also includes my supervisors, Morgan Miller, who is my dispatch supervisor, who's met the demands of high service standards and made huge leaps in training and performance this year. Of course, Sergeant Naomi Watson, who's been instrumental in ensuring our patrol operations have run smoothly, providing mentorship, and stepping up during critical incidents, which we've had quite a few of this year. Every officer and every dispatcher, that goes without saying, new and tenured, who've worked tirelessly for the last 365, 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And of course, I also want to extend deep gratitude for both the council and Village Manager Burns, who's been an exceptional leader throughout every step of this year and last year, of course. No matter the ask or the need, he delivered without thanks or recognition, and that extends to the entire department heads as well. I've never had a team where I feel like no matter what their role is with the organization, they're willing to help each and every one of us. So thank you, all of you. All right, so you guys have a very lengthy, I never fail to deliver on length as far as the report goes, that's for sure. So I'll hit some highlights and then open it up for questions and then give you back your evenings. I think we're probably already running behind. All right, so for 2024, we'll start with our dispatch center, 25,500 plus calls, both placed and received to our non-emergency and 911, that's combined numbers. This year, our record specialist, which is incorporated as a part of our dispatch center, that's an already existing position, just extra responsibilities, took 266 records requests, and that's just police department, so all those are also filtered through the lovely Judy Kittner, who gets that extra workload as well. We are looking at a total of 923 and a half training hours. That's team cumulative, which is pretty impressive considering we kind of incorporate those into some already existing hours. So I'm on duty. I have, some downtime. I'm going to capitalize on that with some training and continued education. Some of that is above and beyond required annual training, such as CPRs, firearm certifications, that type of thing. We've got department awards, so definitely want to highlight this area here. So a new Officer Alex Crossman, received this year's Human Relations Commendation, which is essentially our department's version of CIT. He comes from a a tremendous background in crisis communication, and he's displayed those skills here with absolute perfection. So he was awarded that commendation this year. Also, a new officer, Andrew Bluma, received an exemplary leadership commendation, which is awarded to those not in a leadership position, but who are displaying what we believe to be exemplary leadership skills. Dispatcher Daisy Cusick, who was on duty as a solo dispatcher for both storms and the homicide this year, and was fairly new when she took those calls on, absolutely flawless in her execution. So she was recognized for an exemplary leadership award. Community Outreach Specialist Florence Randolph, who's our Civilian of the Year this year, 24, very fitting. Yes. Another dispatcher who received the Distinguished Service Award, and then Corporal Josh Varble, who got the Medal of Valor and the Officer of the Year award. So definitely important to stop and recognize those individuals. Property room booked in just over 130 pieces of property this year, which is a pretty average year. For funding, we were able to acquire just over $23,000 in additional grant opportunities, and we do still have a couple of those pending that we hope to hear one way or the other this year. So, and one of those is a $34,000 opportunity to help fund some cybersecurity upgrades, RSA, MFA, and multi-factor authentication type stuff going into that year. Ohio Collaborative, which is our accreditation board for the state of Ohio, we recertified once again, so 2024, just a repeat of 2023. Going into data and statistics, a little over 16,000 calls for service. A lot of that's going to be your self-initiated activity. That was going to be the result of essentially us being full staff, however brief it was. But when we were able to bring those numbers up, that was the productivity of the fruits of the labor of having full staffing. Incidents by hour, that just breaks it down by where we see the busiest times of day, busiest days of the week. And kind of shoot back, I think that's really it. I assumed you guys probably had some things marked that you might have questions on, considering it's so lengthy, but yeah, those are the highlights I wanted to hit. Did I miss anything, Burns? Okay.
This is
lengthy.
Comprehensive. Comprehensive and
we
impressive.
do a lot. I just want to make sure I hit on everything that we do. It's not uncommon to hear, oh, we have such a large department, or why do we need this many supervisors? And I like to think this is a little bit of painting the picture of all the responsibilities and all the things that we're required to do, both at the state level, federal level, the requirements we have annually, and then that on top of just our day-to-day workload. So hopefully this paints a little bit of a picture. Yeah.
Well, I am going to, I won't mention which officer it was, but I appreciate the fact that whenever I get stopped, first of all, they are very, very professional. I don't get any breaks. They follow the letter of the law. So, yeah.
What it's worth, Johnny's team can also attest to this as well. So.
After 9 hours of plowing snow, right, way out of town, you better not speed.
You wouldn't be rushing home. But so yeah, my wife was on her way to her book club, and I had to get some ingredients for her to make some salad or something. So I was rushing home, but yeah, it was a joyful
salad defense.
Salad defense.
Okay.
But you know what? And the funny thing was, I called my wife and said, "Hey, I'm not gonna get home right away." And hopefully the officer didn't hear her say, "Talk him out of it." She did. But I'm like, here I am, here's everything, and they go through the paces, and fortunately I keep a clean record, so that's always helpful. But I just do want to commend the officers for their professionalism, and I do mean officers, plural, because I've had some. But it is me doing stuff I shouldn't be doing, and so again, and all these stats showing that you, all the things that you're doing. I think we need this because I'm an IT professional, and if everything's going well, you never hear anything, which is good. And we don't hear a whole lot about the police, and that's good. Yeah. So I commend you for your leadership. Another thing, these appreciations and things, they go a long way. Another thing, I'll lean on my IT experience. No one ever calls IT and say, hey, how you doing?
Right.
You get the worst of people.
Sure.
Because something's not right, something's not going on, and you all are getting that from people, but you are serving the folks well. So thank you for you and your leadership and your team. You all are doing a fantastic job.
It's our
I
pleasure.
really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have two things.
Sure.
So one of them, do we still have a school resource officer?
So that position is currently vacant.
Okay.
So what I didn't want to do, because I feel like that role is such a critical role, you don't want to put the wrong person in that, because you could put a body that you train, and all of my guys are professional enough, but it's got to be something you're really passionate about. So we didn't fulfill that for this year, and it actually worked out well because Superintendent Terry Streeter actually had some changes in the structure over there that didn't require as much attention. So we were able to kind of work out, okay, we'll be okay for a year and kind of reassess going into the future. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And then I was curious about the community survey.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about? So I guess, well, maybe the first thing is, was it reported like the way you wanted it to be, or?
Maybe you might be asking because I left out percentages for this year. Maybe that's what you're highlighting here. So and that was just an oversight on my part. But as far as like how the survey was executed, it was a repeat of last year. It's broken down into 4 different categories, and our scores were relatively the same. We took a little bit of a dip in performance, which is it's the category with the most questions, and it does pertain to like your specific experience. So we get fewer respondents in that. Does that kind of articulate how? So if you haven't had an interaction, for example, so if I get 181 responses in a survey, but only 50 of them actually had a police interaction, then I would only have 50 responses to that specific question. So, but nonetheless, it's an area that we know, hey, we took a dip here, we got to look at this for this year and make some changes.
So anything notable around?
No, I can't say that. I mean, the performance specifically is about like, so our response to community concerns is one thing. So, you know, we always receive a lot of concerns about speeding, quality of life issues, noise, et cetera. And in response to this, we've kind of restructured some of those special assignments, and our community liaison, who's the guy who goes out and meets with some of these community groups. I know we have the NAG group out there right now. There's a couple others, forgive me for not highlighting those, but they're the ones that will liaison with those groups and the department to make sure that we're being a little bit more responsive, intentional in our response rather to those kind of concerns. So,
cool. And otherwise, yeah, I want to reiterate, very impressive report, and I know that you and Johnny work closely together on a lot of things just with the village overall, and I'm so glad you're our chief.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, indeed.
All right, very good.
Thank you. All right, Johnny, you have the helm.
I do.
Manager's report.
All right, so let's see here. I didn't even get a chance to look over this right before, but Wayne Gunther did a fantastic job doing the edits to the meeting that is on YouTube for the WODA presentation. Phenomenal job. I watched the whole thing and how he throws in the slides at the appropriate time and then labels the speakers. Did a fantastic job. We did host the Paul's Dog Rodeo, so to speak, and they did let us know it was their largest to-date fundraiser. They raised $27,000. So we will be hosting it again next year because we are doing great work and they are doing great work. And Porter started school on Monday, so he is he'll graduate, no problem, guaranteed. He's already slated to go to his owner after he graduates. He's going to a veteran, so that will be good. And then we'll figure out who we get next. It just so happens that every time we have one, they always pass the class. So it could be good teaching.
Yeah,
but
I'm
we're
sure.
not for sure yet.
I'm sure. It's the water. It's the water.
Yeah, it's the water, good, high quality H2O. Brian, you talked about the TIF dollars, and Amy and West Carrollton, I went to the managers meeting, and they're doing a lot of things in West Carrollton, but some of their funds is TIF dollars that they've done. And one of the slides that really stuck out to me was for every dollar that they invest, they're looking for $2.35 return of investment. So really getting these tools that Meg and Amy and yourself and I are
And that's
working
where I
on.
grew up.
They're doing phenomenal. So us getting that in our pocket so we can pull it out.
Our toolkit.
Our toolkit, there you go. That's what we need to do. We received several feedbacks on the publication for the Grapevine. We did have one that was negative, but we just overlooked that one and went on. No, actually, we took the comments at hand, and there'll be more to come about that probably next year. So, but overall, it's been great. We've had some fantastic feedback. Aaron started with us last Monday, so he lasted a week, so he's locked in for a lifetime now. He is a graduate from the University of Dayton for economic development. He also did an 8-month internship with the city of Centerville, so he is hitting the ground running. He's already doing all kinds of amazing stuff with Meg. Meg's got him busy over there, and he's done a fantastic job. So if you've not stopped by and seen Aaron, stop by and see him. Paige welcomed a newest officer. He was a transfer from another department. So he is started, his name is Zachary. So if you see a new face, it's probably going to be Zachary. He's not been sworn in by council yet. We get him through the probationary period and then we'll swear him in. But he does come with 3 years of experience under his belt. And he felt that this was the better department for him to show his skills. Planning Commission moved to March 11th, a goals discussion. We have started the renewal for the insurance on the Montgomery Bender. We didn't like the first bit of information they brought back to us, so we went back out. So they're going back out on the market to see if we got some better pricing coming back. So we have already done that. Staff, man, I'll tell you, Cameron was on staff and he got everything turned around in about 3 days. So he did a fantastic job making sure that if staff didn't know how to do the form fire, he would have walked them through it. So that was a blessing just to have him handle that. Water meter installs. You will now be getting a call from the Village of Yellow Springs telling you that you will be needing to have your water replaced. We're actually bringing this in-house instead of the contractor doing it. We've kind of finalized it with them. We're going to take over I think we have about 100 left. So you will be getting called and you will be getting a schedule for us to come do it. If you do not comply with this schedule, you'll have to find water somewhere else until we turn you back on. We have got to get these meters changed. It will not only help us, it will help you save when you have a leaky toilet, when you leave your spigot on outside, when you have a water softener that bypasses. These water meters are designed to help the customer and the village, so please reach back out to the utility office and get that scheduled. Brad had new chlorine pumps, 2 out of 4 installed. One come in a different brand, so they had to reorder it, so it'll be about another 4 or 5 weeks before he gets that. We are waiting to see how many gallons of water we lost when it bubbles up by the grounds. We don't say the name. So we'll have that probably next in March. We'll figure out how much we lost with unexpected holes in different areas of the earth. Valve exercising, we will start that probably when it gets warm. We're also doing a water modeling. Ben has contracted with a company to come in and do some fire flow tests in 11 different areas, so we have a model. So when we add on or we change out, we know what we're doing to the system. They have started, they're almost to the switch station. Amy is actually working on 3 deeds for the right-of-way for, that was a reminder, by the way, for the right-of-way for the center circuit. So we are making good headway on that one. There's the meter replacement. And installing new mailboxes upcoming at Lawson Place. When we extended them, we did away with the big cluster of like 16 mailboxes, went to one area that's got a key that they can unlock. It'll be in a better location than the last one was. The other news, we lost our longest tenured resident at Lawson Place. They have moved into a retirement facility. So we have Lawson Place Apartment 1 is back in our hands, so we're getting ready to do some updates to it. It has not been done in probably 35 years, if I'm not mistaken, is how long that resident was in there. So,
while you're on that point, Johnny,
yes.
Will this be the last of?
It will not be. Okay. We're getting close.
Okay.
We have finished up 5 and 6. Now we got to drop down to 1, so we would have probably 4 more in Unit 10 and 1 more in Unit 12. So about 5 left out of 16. Okay. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Okay. And as they're turning over, there's not much to do other than clean and get them turned right back around and online. Great. Craft night, I have never heard this, but they did craft night and they did a shrink-a-dink? Shrink-a-dinks. I have no idea what a shrink-a-dink is.
You grew up in the 80s, are you kidding me?
Well, I do not know what a shrinky-dink is, but I'm going to ask somebody.
We're doing them. We're doing them.
Yeah. So,
maybe a picture of a shrinky-dink or something.
Please sign up for Civica Plus. I actually say that I was at a restaurant yesterday for Ben Gunther and Elise and Cameron that helped do this and the public work staff in Skyline, and I had a Yellow Springs resident come up and tell me what a fantastic job the public works updates were. He loves the communication, and he asked me if we could get the school board on that same method to where it's centralized, one location. So it was great to see that our messages is getting out there and things are getting done. So what I have. I would like to also say a great shout out to Samantha, Florence, and Paige. Fantastic. You've seen the emotion, and Paige just didn't show it, but there was emotion there too. But I wish, and I've told Samantha this, I wish when I grew up there was a place like Yellow Springs Community Center that I could go to be able to participate. She does a fantastic job. Not saying my childhood was bad, but I wish that place, because you know, mom works all day, you get home, she ain't got time for homework. Samantha makes sure that gets done. Florence is in there making sure that they got grandma attention and they're getting fed and they're getting played with. So, and then Paige is phenomenal. I can't ask for a better police chief. I am so glad that you guys made her the chief when you did. Yeah. She has made my job a lot easier.
We look forward to continuing.
Absolutely.
Doing that whenever and however we can. Well, thank you, Johnny, for those updates. Anyone have any questions, concerns about anything you've heard?
So one thing is, Johnny, I don't know if you heard or been recently on Why So highlighting the legacy of Lawson Place.
Or not.
And I wonder if we could get that clip. This is an interview that involves Kevin Magruder, and one of the many things that brings tears to my eyes, just kind of, how we were able to continue that legacy, by purchasing Lawson Place and keeping it affordable. And then the other thing is, as Johnny knows, I wanted to highlight with what was in the packet around the age-friendly communities. Yellow Springs was the first age-friendly community in the Miami Valley. Was started in 2019. And the Miami Valley also has over a third of the age-friendly communities across the state. And I just really appreciate that the village has been working on things like the, stop for a chat benches and all that. And so, but anyway, we get a lot of kudos around that. So keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
Great, thanks for that. So Brian, you alluded to that, it was the CAFCO map?
Yeah, and if you look, you can see a bunch of those dots are right, in our Tri-County region.
Right.
But yeah, we were the first in Miami Valley. So
Nice.
thanks to Tony Dosick and Carolyn Mullins, who was here. Yeah.
Good, absolutely.
First affordable housing project, too.
Yep.
Awesome place.
Yep.
Go Yellow Springs.
Yep.
In the county, rather. Not in the state, but in the county.
Exactly.
I wish I lived in a place like that.
Right?
You do.
Karen probably does too.
Yeah, she does. Somewhere else. All right, well, thank you, John, for that, and thank you for everyone for your participation. Well, yes, I'm sorry.
So just the LIHTC application seems like it's on track?
It is on track.
Okay, cool, that's all, thank you.
Okay. So we have no old business, we have no new business. This being our second meeting of the month, this opportunity where we could, regarding the boards and commissions, if there's any burning issues that you want to highlight and bring to our attention, now is the time.
I just want to, Johnny, I know you and I talked about Soul Smart, and that came up in the RPC. So I guess I'd like to look at, it's another area where we should get kudos. There's actually only one community in Ohio that's got Soul Smart certification. And it's about recognizing, renewable, energy and all that we do. So I know you have some thoughts about,
We do, and I'll get with you.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure we don't forget to talk about that.
Great.
Cool.
Any other highlights from boards and commissions? Okay. I just saw executive session, but that was a flashback. All right.
We do have one.
That's a liar joke right
Yeah,
there.
really. Yeah, more deliberation. Yes. Well, if there's anything else for the good of the order, we will consider it. I am seeing no activity there, so the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait, what about future agenda?
I'm ready to go. No.
Yeah, Gavin?
Yeah, Gavin.
What you got?
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, did anything come up? We are bringing back, well, do we have to on those, the ones that
Yeah,
were
the ones that
tabled?
we decided
definitely
we
need to come
should.
back?
Yeah.
4 out of 5 need to come back, and then I'm understanding you need a resolution adjusting the village manager's salary. And we may have to enter into an agreement for prosecution services, maybe? We'll discuss at agenda planning. I've got it on for placeholder.
That's probably, yeah, that'll be maybe the meeting after.
Okay. What I got?
Okay, okay, thank you for that. And thank you, Gavin, for keeping me honest on that last agenda item. I think I'm just losing it. So, is there anything else we need to discuss?
Adjournment?
All righty. So now the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Thank you to the citizens for being such an engaged citizenry. We appreciate you.